So there has been some pretty massive updates on the H3 versus Ian or iDubbbz lawsuit stuff going on. First off, MoistCritical, of all people, decided to jump in on the topic. If you don't know, MoistCritical is someone who is quite controversial in an interesting way, because a lot of people think that when he covers a topic, it's either he's like fence sitting, like he waits for a lot of people to come up with something or an idea before he decides to weigh in on it. But this is one of those topics where he just decided to jump in on it. H3 versus iDubbbz lawsuit.
Ethan Klein, a while back, had a landmark achievement in the fight for fair use against good old bold guy Matt Haas. And that ruling was cited here against him in this fair use lawsuit. So to me, that illustrates that maybe these lawsuits aren't coming from a genuine place of trying to enforce real fair use and are potentially just coming from a place of revenge. From everything I've seen in these lawsuits, I just don't agree with going this extremely litigious path. There are very few lawsuits in this space that I think make sense. And like I said yesterday, the one that does is him going after the snarking community that allegedly did send a fraudulent CPS check to his house and human skulls, which apparently is taboo to even mention now for some reason. I got f***ing dogpiled for bringing that up.
And then he made another video called Useless because a lot of people were pretty upset at basically his response to it and whatnot. And it also got to a point where Ethan Klein has started reposting some faces I'm familiar with. He's getting into the real thick of it in terms of, like, you know, the shitter commentary community. Don't get me wrong, right? Like, all respect, I'm a shitter, right? We're nobodies. In the grand scheme of things, I'm nowhere on MoistCritical's level. I'm not even anywhere on freaking, like, someone with 100K followers level, right? But Ethan Klein has decided to platform some content creators or Discord users, whatever you want to refer to it as, people that I know of. And this is coming from Awk 20,000 or Yeet. Pretty cool account to follow if you want to, like, keep up with, like, internet drama. Again, from, like, shitters, smaller creators. This person, Hellbent, I know of, I've had my interactions with. Lumpy Willie, I've been trolled by quite a few times, has now, you know, seemed to jump into this H3 situation. And Ethan himself is posting it onto his, like, Instagram. Is it true that this Hellbent person works for DeOrio, right? So this is where Lumpy Willie is saying, I'm working on finding his address. I've got this situation handled. And you can see Hellbent is saying, Godspeed. Now, additional context regarding the extent to which DeOrio worked with Hellbent is the creation of this little character, which is a wiggler. Think of it as like a VTuber, right? When DeOrio talks, the little wiggler thing goes like this. When he stops talking, it stops moving. When he talks again, it goes like this, right? So Hellbent created this wiggler character, which is this one, for DeOrio, and said he could use it. Here is Reddit messages of DeOrio saying it. This stuff is fan art. I've never commissioned any wiggler from this person, Hellbent. They just said I could use it. It's a big reason why I've been hesitant with merch. That's fair. I mean, disappointing on her end, especially since there's a lot of crossover between H3 and you these days, but her weird social choices aren't on you. I understand the merch concern. Yeah, the whole thing's crazy. There are people whose videos I've covered on streams in there too, but I've known for a long while now, though, so I'm over it. And I feel like DeOrio obviously wanted to give context because he is friends with H3. They oftentimes reference him on the podcast and whatnot. So it does make a lot of sense. He doesn't want to be that closely associated with someone who is now throwing these, you know, interesting little hurrahs when it comes to a joke about doxing a child. It's interesting. Again, as DeOrio put it best, this whole thing is crazy. That's kind of where I want to say it too, because I don't want any beef. I don't want any smoke from these creators, big or small. You know, I'm CamNuggets. I'm the dumb guy, right? Now, from what I understand, this is coming from a YouTuber by the name of Gamma. Again, someone I am familiar with, people that I've had beef with, I've had drama with, and I've kind of like mended some bridges. I wouldn't even say they like me. I don't know if they like me. It is what it is. And it's very interesting because, again, like I'm a part of this community, as much as they may hate me or whatnot. And I've been in this Discord owned by Gamma, where I can admit there has been very controversial things, whether they be jokes, whether they be, with intent or whatnot. But for the most part, everything gets like quickly deleted if it's a thread or something that like might actually be pretty serious. In this case, it's where this Lumpy Willie guy is talking about finding Ethan's son's preschool, right? Which is something you shouldn't joke about. To which Gamma does provide proof, saying, urgent, I've been made aware that this is actually from my server. I can verify the validity of these claims. Upon looking at my audit logs, this message was almost instantly deleted by my mod team since we don't tolerate jokes or implications of this nature. Again, Lumpy Willie is saying, Zach, want to help me find Bruce Klein's preschool, sent by Lumpy Willie, Aiden UG hate arc, right? And you can see it was deleted, of course, quickly after it was sent. So that means that someone, took time to go in this Discord, ignore my closet being open, my cat's in there. Someone went into this Discord very quickly, screenshotted this to send to Ethan, or someone close to Ethan who then sent it to Ethan. I can accept this. I think Gamma deleting the comment, or Gamma having a moderation team that deletes comments that are just not appropriate like that. Gamma claims that it was very quickly or instantly deleted, but in that other message we can see that Hellbent had time to reply to like a few more things before, and you could still see the original message. So who really knows, right? Again, someone who's been in this Discord, I would like to say that things like this are not being like snarked about this badly. I've never noticed people just publicly being doxxed, or, these kinds of comments or jokes just being freely thrown around regarding people's like family members or children. Again, I'm not trying to like defend it, but I'm also not trying to like get myself involved in any drama, because that's something you deal with when you're messing around in a volatile community, which, again, you can see even MoistCritical has reached that point.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be a pretty poisonous topic where the only winning move is not to play in regards to covering the H3 versus iDubbbz lawsuit. But sometimes you put your hand on the stove to see if it's still hot. And boy howdy, is it ever.
He's going to get himself, some backlash, regardless of what he really says or what side he chooses in this beef, I guess you could say, this back and forth, again, where Ethan Klein is now going to be suing iDubbbz for defamation based on something that Destiny, the also streamer, Stephen Bonnell, put out, and iDubbbz made it a background of one of his streams where he was this like weird VTuber dragon thing. MoistCritical did a really good video on it. He does a lot of content where he pretty much summarizes huge dramas that maybe people aren't aware of and kind of puts it out there to the common folk. Some drama that would end up like 30K views, 100K views, he's brought up to like millions and millions of eyes because he's talking about how this could damage, the way YouTube is. If people see how successful, Ethan's lawsuit goes against iDubbbz, other people might try to jump on that and be like, well, this guy made a video talking about me and it screwed up my business. It screwed up my channel, right? Same thing can happen with just about anything. They'll be like, well, this guy covered an article that made me look bad. I want to take that video down. I want to sue this person. But it is very interesting that this situation has updated beyond just like, here's my side from Ian, here's my side from Ethan, MoistCritical, here's my side. And unfortunately, when you cover a topic like this, based around such a toxic, volatile community, I would say. Toxic is maybe the wrong word. Volatile is, you could say one wrong thing and suddenly everyone's against you, everyone's down your neck, right? iDubbbz and Ethan Klein, right? You have even Hassan Piker is now giving his thoughts on the MoistCritical take, which I thought was a very fair video, kind of like summarizing everything that's been happening the past few years. Hassan didn't like it.
I'll never be a fan of extreme litigation, and I have always been vocally advocating against creators going that nuclear path, and I always will. Of course, there are cases where it is understandable. Like I said, going after the snarkers that sent a fraudulent CPS thing through and the skulls and stuff, that one I do understand.
Bro, but what does that have to do with iDubbbz? I mean, where is the veracity, or where is the fucking genuine proof that there is, again, a network of like anonymous accounts that Ethan Klein has targeted and identified as being responsible for calling Child Protective Services on him. I don't even think there is any proof whatsoever. Ethan certainly doesn't have that. I don't know why he keeps bringing this up as though it has anything to do with iDubbbz anyway.
So it's like, even if you make a pretty, I think, fair video that kind of summarizes a drama you haven't really been a part of, that a lot of the internet doesn't know, based on, again, hearings or like things happening in this community that people are saying, and one side saying this, the other side saying, no, this didn't happen, one side saying it did. I think Charlie did a pretty good job at kind of summarizing why this situation is happening and why it's gotten to this point, and why some of these things can be really bad, but what Ethan is doing with the lawsuit is also really bad. And I think that that's probably like the best way to put it. Because again, I've seen firsthand, you know, with my own video that only got like 2,000 views, people were like, Cameron, you're just wrong. This is a shitty take. You know, they have every right to sue Ian because they put out a horrible accusation that he like did stuff with his kid, right? Like, why are you defending that? Blah, blah, blah. Horrible take, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I get it. I get it. But I do also understand it as a content creator who has myself made videos diving into, not so savory topics or claims that haven't 100% been verified yet, right? That's the nature of covering Twitter disk logs and covering Google Docs and stuff, right? You're diving into that territory of this may not be true, but I want to look at it as if it is like trusted information and give my thoughts based on it, right? Like Moist said, like I agree, like my point was from my own video, it's just a gray area. It gets into a sketchy territory where people will be scared to cover things the way they want to, and people will be scared to cover topics they're interested in because they'll be like, well, we have to wait for 100% of the information. You know, God forbid we give commentary on commentary channels. God forbid we give our insights. You know, it is what it is. I do want to know what you guys think, though, down below. More videos coming very soon, as always. I'm doing my best. Peace out, my friends. Bye.